Shalom, Israel, Most High in Christ bless. All praises to the Most High in the name of His Son, His Word, Jesus the Christ, for all things, always. Back at it again with another breakdown. And this time we're going into Revelation 12. It's going to get a little deep here and there, but I'll bring out Revelation 12 because the book of Revelation, chapter 12, is crucial to understanding the rest of the book of Revelation. And if you understand this chapter, then you understand what the book itself is making reference to. All right. So I'm going to start with Revelation 12 and verse 1. Actually, before we even get here, let's go to Isaiah 28 and 10, just to show you what I'm going to be doing. Because I already do this, but I don't really explain it that often. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to explain what I'm doing. All right. So this is Isaiah 28, I'm going to start with 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. Meaning you got to be born again to understand the scriptures. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, meaning you must read the laws together to understand what they're actually trying to tell you. Line upon line, here a little, and there a little. So you have to read the scriptures here a little and there a little to get the understanding. Verse 13. But the word of the Lord was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken. So the reason why God made it that way is because he doesn't want everyone to understand the Bible. He only wants his chosen to understand the scriptures. That's why he wrote it in a code like this. All right. So that you have to go here a little and there a little. So with that, that's what I'm going to be doing. As you can see, I got a lot of scriptures. And this is going to, hopefully, Lord's will, give you the understanding of Revelation chapter 12. So, let's begin. Verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman. So let's figure out who this woman is before we even go any further. Let's figure out who this woman is. A woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. So that's a little key right there when it says a crown of 12 stars. Well, let's see who this woman is. Jeremiah 6 and 2. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 6 and verse 2. I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. Meaning, the Israelites, the daughter of Zion, is a comely and delicate woman to the Lord. Let's go even further. Remember, it said the crown of 12 stars. Right? The crown of 12 stars. This is Genesis, the 37th chapter. I'm going to start with verse 9. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon, and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. Joseph being one of the 12, and then the 11 stars are bowing down to him, plus the sun and the moon. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? See, Jacob is just clarifying what I just said. And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same, because his father understood that it was prophecy. All right. So that is the woman, clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Those 12 stars represent the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. That woman being Zion itself, right? And this is a double meaning with the sun and the moon. This is Wisdom of Solomon 5 and verse 6. Therefore have we erred from the way of truth, and the light of righteousness hath not shined upon us, and the sun of righteousness rose not upon us. So the way of truth, the light of righteousness, the sun of righteousness. That's what it's making reference to. Clothed with righteousness. Clothed with the light of the law, in other words. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pained to be delivered. Okay, so we're going to talk about that child here in a minute, but let's keep going. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. So before we deal with the 7 heads and the 10 horns, let's deal with the red dragon. The red dragon. Let's go back to Genesis 25. Let's start with verse 24. We're going to read around. It's Genesis 25:24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. Esau meaning hairy. But he came out red and hairy. So let's jump down to verse 30. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom, meaning red. Okay? So keep that in mind about Edom. Edom. That great red dragon. Having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. So this right here, this 7 crowns lets you know that these 7 heads are 7 kingdoms, 7 empires. Those empires being Greece, Rome, Spain, France, Germany, Russia, and Great Britain. And these 10 horns are 10 countries that come out of those empires, also known as the 10 common markets or the founders of the EU. All right? Those are those 10 horns. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. All right? So that's making reference to the 3rd part of the stars would be Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and the remnant of the other tribes who were still in Judea at the time. All right? And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it be born, as soon as it was born. Right? So what is this making reference to? First of all, who is this child? And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with the rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. So if you haven't caught on to it by now, that child is Jesus Christ. All right? Came from the tribe of Judah himself, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. All right? And this right here where it says the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born, this is making reference to some history in Matthew, the 2nd chapter. So let's get Matthew chapter 2, and I'm going to start with verse 13. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt. So Joseph was told, hey, Herod's coming. Let me finish this out. And be thou there until I bring thee word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. So Joseph was told in a dream, hey, run to Africa. Run into Africa. Because Herod is coming to kill your son. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, out of Egypt have I called my son. Verse 16. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. So Herod killed all the babies, killed all the infants who were 2 and under. All right. So if you still don't believe me concerning this great red dragon being Edom, let me just look up a little bit on Herod. This is the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Let's look up the term Herod. All right. This is page 224. Herod, Idumean rulers of Palestine. Line started with Antipater, whom Julius Caesar made procurator of Judea in 47 BC. Herod the Great, first procurator of Galilee, then king of the Jews, from 37 to 4 BC. Built Caesarea, temple at Jerusalem, slaughtered children at Bethlehem. And it even makes reference to Matthew chapter 2. So, this Herod and the whole family of Herods were Idumean rulers of Palestine. So what does the word Idumean mean? What does the term Idumean mean? It sounds familiar, but what does it mean? This is page number 239, Idumea, pertaining to Edom, Greek and Roman name for Edom. See Edom. And we already read about Edom in the Bible itself. So that lets you know that this great red dragon is referring to the Edomites and their kingdoms and empires, what you would call Caucasian or European empires today. All right, this Bible is no joke. It's a history book. God's so cold, he'll write history before it happens. He's just cold like that. All right. And verse 5 makes reference to the prophecy. But we got it here in Revelation chapter 2. Let's read it again. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. So we want to deal with rule all nations with a rod of iron. This is Revelation chapter 2. And I'm going to start with 18. Just to let you know what it's talking about. We're going to jump down. And unto the angel of the church in Thyatira, right. These things saith the Son of God. So that lets you know who it is right here. This is Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Who hath eyes like a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass, meaning brown. And you read in Revelation, the first chapter, it's dark brown with white woolly hair. All right. Jesus Christ is a black man, according to the Bible. He said, look, I'm the Son of God. I am black. Listen to what he says right here. Verse 26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And that what we just read in Revelation chapter 12. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. You see that right there? So Christ said, I received this power from my Father. If you overcome and endure to the end, I'm going to give you the same power. All right. So verse 5, we just read that. This is talking about Jesus Christ. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had the place prepared of God that they should feed her 1,260 days. So that's 1,260. If you divide that by 360, you get 3.5. And that's referring to 350 years. All right. You divide it by 360 because that is a year in the Hebrew calendar, in the lunar calendar. But it said the woman fled into the wilderness. What's that referring to? Get this here in Luke 21. Luke 21, I'm going to start with 20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. So he's talking about when Rome come and sack Jerusalem in 70 AD. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. When it says flee to the mountains, that's referring to the same thing that Joseph was told in his dream, going to Egypt, going to Africa. Because the closest set of mountains to the Israelites in Judea was first Mount Sinai, then you go on into Egypt, and then along the eastern coast of Egypt, and even further down into modern day Sudan and all that, is a mountain range that leads you straight to Ethiopia. All right. And let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries, enter therein too. He said, don't come to Jerusalem even for the feast. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. He said Deuteronomy 28 got to come to pass. Leviticus 26 got to come to pass. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. Right. Because it's hard to run and have a baby suck on your titty at the same time. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. That's your Deuteronomy 28 right there. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And see, that's what we're living in right now, the times of the Gentiles. That's who in Jerusalem today, the Gentiles. All right. And so if you're still not convinced, you say, well, this ain't talking about Jews or Israelites in Africa. This is Zephaniah 3 and verse 10. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my suppliants, even the daughter of my dispersed, shall bring my offering. You see that right there? So it said beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. So that goes into the rivers of Ethiopia are the Blue Nile and the White Nile, right? That's where the Nile splits and becomes all the different tributaries, right? So it said beyond those rivers. Those rivers go down even into southern Africa. So beyond those rivers would be West Africa, Central Africa, and South Africa. And primarily that's where you've seen the slave ships come from in the transatlantic slave trade. Was West and Central primarily, but also from South Africa as well. So let's go back to Revelation. Revelation 12. All right. So that's the wilderness that it's making reference to. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had a place prepared, of God. So the place prepared is over here in the West, primarily America. That they should feed her there, meaning the serpent shall feed her there 1,203 score days. That's your 350 years. This is saying 3.5 years, but that's code for 350 years. Roughly from 1619 to 1969. Roughly. All right. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. Right? So when it says, neither was their place found any more in heaven, what's that making reference to? I got this here in Lamentations, the 2nd chapter. And I'm starting with verse 1. How hath the Lord covered the daughter of Zion with a cloud in his anger, and cast down from heaven unto the earth the beauty of Israel. You see that right there? And remember not his footstool in the day of his anger. So it said, God cast down from heaven unto earth the beauty of Israel. So was Israel and all the Israelites literally up in heaven with God? And God said, I don't want you no more. And he threw us down to the ground? No. Verse 2. The Lord has swallowed up all the habitations of Jacob, and hath not pity. He hath thrown down in his wrath the strongholds of the daughter of Judah. He hath brought them down to the ground. He hath polluted the kingdom and the princes thereof. You see that right there? So God took away our kingdom. That's what this is making reference to. When God takes away your kingdom, you are cast down from heaven to the earth. You have lost your heaven, your rulership. All right. That's what this is making reference to. All right. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan. You see that right there? So the same spirit that is in these European colonial empires and the countries that remain of them is the same spirit that was in the serpent in the Garden of Eden. It's the same spirit. The devil old, he ain't new. He's always been trying to deceive us, and he does it today as well, here in America, which deceiveth the whole world. How did the serpent deceive the whole world? How did Satan deceive the whole world? Let's just see this real here, right quick. Look up Jesus. Images. What do you find? Look at this. Who is this? Said he deceived the whole world. We just read in Revelation where Jesus himself said he had skin like fine brass. Yet here we are, like brass burned in a furnace. That ain't this. What is this? This is the image of the beast. That's what this is. That's how he deceived the whole world. He give you this image right here and tell you God love everybody. Give you this image right here and say God love everybody. When he never said that. He give you this right here and say God is white, the devil is black, worship me. That's what he did. He deceived the whole world with his European and colonial empires. All right. Which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth. Remember in Lamentations. And his angels were cast out with him. All his messengers. All his priests, his popes. So on and so forth. And I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. How do they do that? Through their news. They say black people are in gangs, and you should be scared of them. They say Mexicans are cartel and rapists. They accuse our brethren day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, by the Bible, by keeping the laws of God and the faith of Jesus Christ. And they loved not their lives unto the death. You see that right there? So we have to fight spiritually against these strongholds and these imaginations that are coming against our God and our faith. We got to be willing to put our lives on the line, man. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time. You see that right there? So he know he's got a short time. That's why he's amping it up. That's why he's ramping it up. Sexualizing everything. Making people want to commit sin. Making people want to not be sober. Polluting the minds. Making the kids want to be gay and trans. That's why they're doing this. He know he had but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. He's persecuting the Israelites. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, right, into the wilderness, that's referring to Africa, into her place, that's referring to America, where she is nourished for a time, times, and half a time from the face of the serpent. You see that right there? So the serpent is nourishing us. What does that mean? When it says the serpent is nourishing us. Let me get this here in Deuteronomy 28. I've referenced this chapter enough. Might as well go ahead and get it. Deuteronomy 28. We receive the nourishment from the serpent. What's that making reference to? Deuteronomy 28. And I'm going to start with verse 47. Because this is key right here. 47. It says, Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. So because we didn't want to serve the Lord, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, the serpent, in hunger. Right? You think of the food that we eat. We get it from the grocery stores. We don't grow our own food. We don't get it from our own people. And in thirst, the water bill. Right? They're making us pay for water, which is free. You just go to a river or collect the rainwater. But they won't let you do that. They'll fine you for doing that. And in nakedness, the clothes that we got on our back, we may put logos on it, but we don't actually go and get the textiles. And when we do, we don't own it, right? We get the wage. We get the wage slavery. And in want of all things. So birth certificate, death certificate, driver's license, religion, whatever you want, you have to go to your enemies, the serpent. All right. And he, meaning your enemies, shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So you look up yoke of iron, you're going to see a black man, right? You dig a little deeper, you're going to find Latino people, American Indians with chains around their necks until he have destroyed thee. So now the chains are off. That lets you know we already been destroyed. All right, back to Revelation. Where she is nourished for a time, times, and half a time. So times meaning 2, time meaning 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3. Half a time, so that's 3.5. That's 350 years or 3.5 centuries. From the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. Be carried away of the flood. What's this making reference to? Hebrews 13 and verse 9. It says, Be not carried about with diverse and strange doctrines. So the serpent's feeding us these strange and diverse doctrines. All right, these different religions, these different these different philosophies, these different doctrines. For it is a good thing that the heart may be established with grace, not with meats, which have not profited them that have been occupied therein. You see that right there? Don't try to be deep. Do not try to be deep. Stick to the basics. Keep the laws of God. All right? That's what you need to be focused on. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. All right, so when it says the earth right here, what's this making reference to? Psalms 85 and verse 11. Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven. You see that right there? So truth shall spring out of the earth. The truth, Psalm 119, 142, also verse 151. The laws, statutes, and commandments are the truth that spring out of the earth. All right. Righteousness shall look down from heaven. Righteousness goes into Deuteronomy 6:25. Also, Psalm 119, verse 172. The law and the commandments are righteousness. Going back to it, the same thing. It's the law and the commandments. When it says the earth helped the woman, meaning the Bible helped the woman, helped us, helped the Israelites. And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. You see that right there? So the Bible's going to deal with all these diverse and strange doctrines, man. It's going to shut them down. It's going to keep you on the right path. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. There you go, right there. That tells you what you need to do. That tells you what you need to do. You need to keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. Sure, the dragon gonna be mad at you, but God gonna be with you. All right? Even though these other nations, these heathens, these Edomites try to come against you, you keep the commandments, you have faith in Christ, and that's all you need to do. So with that, hope y'all learned something. I say shalom. Most High in Christ bless.